And my roommate, Armando, and you had to roll the R's or he corrected you. Because I remember the first morning, I'm like, good morning, Armando. He goes, they get it right, fool. Because that's not my name. My name's Armando. And I said, sorry. I didn't realize you were an a-hole. Forgive me, Armando.
You know, I've contended, and a lot of people feel this, and I saw you actually acknowledge this during an interview. You finally realize this. You're one of the absolute best. You are like a Swiss Army knife of talent, and it became a revelation to you. I think you obviously you're sober, and you went through, the whole program and all that stuff, and you finally realized that while you thought people were reacting like, this is a train wreck, they were really pulling for you. Once you realize people love your talent, love what you can do, and you realize that it was the converse, that people were like, yeah, we want you back.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody, I was at my own intervention at 50 years old.
Yeah.
And it's, how could you guys do this to me? Bah, bah, bah. And then you realize, like, everybody in your life, as you kind of said it all. Everybody's really rooting for you, and they want you to do well. And it's, addiction's a disease of perception. I was amazed in early recovery how little everyone else was actually spending time thinking about me.
Right.
Like I was just obsessed with like how do you perceive me? How am I perceiving you perceiving me? It's like a Russian stacking doll of nonsense. It's like when you go on a dance floor, you're worried, I look like an idiot. Everyone's looking at me like I'm dancing like an idiot. But everyone else is out there thinking they look like an idiot. So put your hands over your head, do a white guy 360 and get going.
It is narcissistic, and so much of it is rooted in narcissism.
Self-centered fear.
Yeah. I love the you've described your that intervention, the one that took, and it involves the Wu-Tang clan. Can you that story?
That's how they got me. They told me from my my podcast. They said the next morning I was going to interview Wu-Tang Clan. And I believed them. I was so high. I actually thought Wu-Tang Clan was coming to my house at 8:00 in the morning. I don't know if you listen to Wu-Tang Clan, but they're not morning people, Steve.
Yes, I was already just caught me. Yeah,
I thought the 8 blackest men alive were going to get up early to walk into my cracker house,
right?
So I could help them with their career and put them over the top,
right?
Like maybe I could help them sell merch, Maybe get it into Target or something. What a dope.
So RZA was not there.
No, I wish. I met RZA. I was at the Santa Monica Pier with my son. He was about 3, and I see RZA from Wu-Tang Clan standing there. And he's like 6'6". He's way taller than you think. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's with this beautiful baby, another 3-year-old. And I'm like, wow, I'm gonna talk to him, be cool. Our kids are gonna start playing. Next thing you know, guess who's the new guy in Wu-Tang?
The new Wu-Tang member.
Yeah, white guy.
Yeah.
So I go up, I'm like, hey, RZA, I'm a huge fan. He's like, oh, thanks, Lord. That's peace. Thank you, man. I go, and I got to tell you, your daughter is beautiful. He goes, yo, that's my freaking son, dude. Dude, he got heated. And then I started acting like I had a second child that I couldn't find.
That's good. That's good.
I grabbed my 3-year-old's hand. I go, where's Donald? Donald! Oh, my God. I'll be right back, Riz.
Right.
And I just frantically, I'm looking around the boardwalk, like, where the hell is he?
Donald.
Wow. That's great improv.
That's genius. What? No matter how dicey the conversation had got, you'd have to connect to a parent who's just lost a child.
Yeah, nobody's going to jump.
Yeah.
A parent looking for their baby. Right. Where's your brother?
The dude lost Donald. You gotta.
And I'm like, as I'm walking away, I'm like, Donald? I named my son Donald.
I love it.
That's great.
So,
Preston, do you talk on this show?
Occasionally when I find room.
Good career move. Get on radio and zip
I'm very ADD. I jump in all the time.
I want to ask you about your time at SNL.
Who the hell is this guy now?
I'm on the show.
How many people are on this show?
Got microphones, Jay. You can say
got
8 is enough.
Yeah.
Right here.
Timely reference.
Well, speaking of timely references, Saturday Night Live and your time there. I saw Conan O'Brien talking about the energy there and how competitive it was, because every week you're competing to get your skits on, get a bit that you wrote on, or be in a part of the show. when you left SNL or during your time there, what was the energy like for you? Was it joyous? Was it work? Was it a pain in the ass?
It's a good question. It's competitive for Conan O'Brien because he ran the risk of actually getting sketches on the air every week.
Yeah.
So for a guy like Flounder, I didn't have a computer. I was writing my sketches by hand. Me and Dave Attell shared an office, and we had yellow legal pads and pencils. And then you write your sketch. It's 4 a.m. What do I do with it? How do I get it to where everybody else gets it? Because they're just typing a button on their computer, and it's going to this magic print the sketch and distribute it to 400 people land. And they're like, well, you got to give it to all the conversations at SNL are like on a highway. It's like, yeah. Like everybody's walking by doing stuff. So it wasn't competitive. It was just, it's like you just want to break the water level and breathe air.
So you're not even anticipating that you're going to get anything to break through. So you're trying. And at this time,
but every once in a while though, you're like, like this. And then if it doesn't get on the air, you want to throw yourself out a window.
Right.
But I got lucky. Like,
what was your first sketch that made it through?
Barkley versus Godzilla. It was the season premiere opening.
Wow.
Yeah, because they had the Barkley versus Godzilla. Oh no, it was Barkley versus Barney the dinosaur.
Right, yeah.
Based on Barkley versus Godzilla.
Right. So you were suffering panic attacks at this time.
Oh yeah.
So I can not think of a worse environment to be in.
Oh.
What was that like?
Well, your insides want to be on your outsides.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't compute. It's just you're dying. You are dying. You don't think you're dying. You know you're dying. Otherwise, why is my heart rate 200 when I'm just sitting in this chair? Why do I have to, go out of both ends of my body? And so it's brutal. I remember we did a Scared Straight sketch with Farley and the motivational speaker. Yeah. And I was like, oh, my God. And at that point, I was prescribed Klonopin, the only drug I didn't abuse, by the way.
Really?
I guess because it saved my life. It was like I had like this respect for it, like this awe. And I had, when I put my wardrobe on for the sketch, the pants they gave me didn't have any pockets. And I always had that little jeans pocket above the big pocket. That was my pill pocket. For Adderall, it became my shelf.
Yeah.
And then... So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to have Klonopin on hand in case I have a panic attack if there's no pockets? So I took 4 of them and I put them in my hand, but then my hand started sweating. So I spent the entire sketch worrying that either A, they were going to dissolve in the palm of my hand and rendering them useless, or so I spread my fingers out a little bit so air could get into the palm of my hand, but I didn't want them to fall out of my hand and roll onto television on live TV, roll out onto the floor. So I just spent this entire magical sketch with Chris Farley, young fella, just worrying whether, and then the sketch is over and you're like, oh, there it is. I was like, I wasn't even present. Just that whole time, I'm just freaking out.
It's got to blow your mind.
Real quick, you want to hear like the greatest blooper of all time is Farley when Martin Lawrence and Farley keep selling us to each other for a pack of cigarettes. Right. And then he sells them to Chris, and Chris is supposed to take the cigarette and go, sold 7 bitches to the homie in the cornrows. But instead he goes, sold 7 bitches to the cornme in the home rows. And then he looks directly into camera and goes, oops. 7 bitches to the cornme in the home rows. Oops. And in that sketch, he tells a joke that bombs, and David Spade off camera, you hear crickets.
You're with the crew of like legendary, with Norm Macdonald. Your Norm Macdonald stories are just hilarious, and you do it spot on, Norm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think when he said that, he wanted me to do it. So this punchline, nobody knows where it is. We were at a dinner last night. They go, hey, where you playing, And I said, punchline. They go, I never heard of that. No, where is the punchline, by the way?
I don't. You described a story about you guys working on a skit.
No, seriously, where is the punchline?
It's just off of Columbus Boulevard.
Close. Yeah, you're fine.
In
minutes.
downtown.
I want to make sure I'm not being pranked.
No, you're fine.
Dude,
and it's a great club, by the way.
Completely misunderstood what you were asking.
Club.
The
punchline.
club punchline Philly. Okay.
Yeah, that's where he's playing.
Well, you forget that the
Where's the
punchline is
punchline of what I
also a
was
joke.
saying? Yes. Well, it was appropriate.
Well, in a Norm soliloquy, there might not be a punchline.
Yeah,
Well, what was the story that we were talking to David Spade a little while ago, and he was talking about Norm would occasionally go out and and you'd get one kind of Norm when he'd perform, and you get another when he was doing stand-up, and he followed him and said, he goes, well, that's the Norm you got tonight, saying basically he would sometimes engage, and sometimes he'd go off into Norm world and do his own things, but he's just one of the best.
I watched Norm knock a guy out.
Really?
Yeah.
He would get physical?
Well, they just passed in like New York City, you can't smoke in the building law.
Oh.
So, but it took a while to enforce.
Right.
You know, it was like 40 floors at GE building,
Sure.
30 Rock, and like one guy in one office struggling to write a sketch. Maybe he wants a cigarette. So we're in the writer's room, and Norm is sitting on a couch with a cigarette, and this 6'8", no joke guy, real skinny guy.
Yeah.
Looked like Niedermeyer from
Animal House.
looked just like him. Looked just like him, but 6'8" and skinny. He walks into the writer's room, and he's holding a cup of water, and he looks down, and Norm's smoking, and he just pours the water on Norm's cigarette and on his lap, and Norm just gets up. Like
Wow.
one shot.
Without
And you go,
hesitation.
oh yeah, you grew up on a farm in Canada. That's what you guys do.
Yeah.
Like you forget.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you grew up like working the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a nice one, like came up from like the big toe, like whap. Had that nice whip to it. You know what I mean? You see that?
Yeah.
That's a side of Norm I didn't realize.
I had to knock a guy out. Because you can't let it go to the scorecards, you know, Steve? Because some of those judges are crooked.
Love it.
By the way, I want to thank Casey for telling me how microphones work before we started.
Oh, he let
Speak here.
I'm going to just talk in defense of him. He wanted to let you know a lot of people will speak dead onto the mic this way. It comes
Yep.
in from the side.
Yeah.
You're a pro, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, especially for comedians who talk into a microphone for a living, it's not the same. But also, I have to
Fair
do it
enough.
'cause
You know what? Withdrawn.
if I don't do it and you talk it to the wrong side of the microphone, then I get the death stare.
From yes.
He gets in trouble.
Yeah, from Kathy.
Yeah.
No, I-
She is the
She'll withhold sex.
She is the silent underlord of the show.
Wait, what did I miss here?
no, you didn't miss.
20 years of
Yes.
sexual
Tension.
I
tension
hate
between
every
Are you
one
guys
of them.
together?
No, ew.
Not anymore.
I mean, ew.
Did you see
Dude,
him?
Have you seen you?
I don't know how many times a week.
How do you know yours? What do you think? You're like,
Listen, this guy picks his nose, farts, and has smelly feet. That's why ill.
Kathy, I would bet my house you've been caught picking your nose in your car.
Listen, maybe,
Oh.
but I'm not going to sit here and dig in my nose in front of everyone.
Show us. Come on.
Come on, baby.
No, I think you're both attractive.
Thank you.
Listen, and also we've been working together for 20 years. We could say ew to each
This is
other.
like, she's like my older sister.
That's even hotter.
Dude,
Wait, hold on. Now,
below the belt, man.
By the way,
I didn't even hear older. I just heard sister. I thought it was hot.
My older sister.
As you're gesturing, I see some tattoos on your wrist. Do they have to do with your recovery?
No.
Okay.
Getting tattoos at a certain age is the dumbest thing in the world.
what age?
Because it's different for everybody. But like, because I thought about, you know what? This is the big tattoo idea I had in rehab. Like, I'm going to get the outline of New Jersey
Where
on
you're
the
from?
back of my right tricep.
Okay, yep.
And the outline of California on my left because it'll look like parentheses.
Yeah.
The way they're shaped.
Okay.
Or I won't sit in a chair for 3 hours and I'll go about my life.
Right.
And that keeps winning. Like, hey, I could play golf or I could take a nap every day between 2 and 3. I choose nap.
You just nap. It's all about decision.
How about this? This is the new one I've noticed. All my friends, like now that we're all married and we're all older, every guy eventually goes like, "Hey, let's get the wives together. Let's all." It's like, what? We speak in British accents. We keep hitting each other in the nuts. You want to bring a wife in? Like, I've touched your wang through your jeans as a joke. Every elevator we've ever been in, I've tapped you in the balls.
Right.
You want our wives in it? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
There's a dynamic.
You got friends that have said that to you, like, no, let's all get together with the wives. You're like, what? It's like, I get panic stricken, like, what? You want to bring my accuser here?
Your accuser.
What?
You're a master of impressions, and one of the most obscure ones you've ever had was the Barefoot Contessa, Ina Gardner. I just found out she worked for the White House for several years. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, and her husband worked for, like, Nixon.
Yeah.
Don't tell Jeffrey.
Don't tell Jeffrey.
Don't get me started on my omelet party. How bad could that be? Don't have fun without me. She was a fox back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like to cook, so she's phenomenal. Her recipes are excellent.
Ever see her house in the Hamptons?
No.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah,
nice.
she's rolling in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Flour.
You ever met her? Flower. Look like
Right.
Now she is. Now she is.
Kat, did you get that? You're not so sure.
It's for the wet spot.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that in ages.
I think you were mad at yourself when you told that joke.
No, I'm very happy.